The 3rd Air Division of the United States 8th Air Force presents Bombs Over Germany. This is Lieutenant Lenny Shavitz in London, bringing you actual combat stories told to you by the men who are now making history in heavy bombers over Germany, the fighting men of the 8th Air Force. A B-17 Flying Fortress navigator poised himself at the escape hatch of a blazing plane, quickly checked his parachute, and leaped into the unknown. It might have meant death or capture. Luckily, it meant neither, for this visitor, who dropped so unceremoniously out of the sky, was given a round of lavish parties, a 23-day tour, and a first-hand view of the great, determined country of Russia. This 26-year-old navigator, Captain Robert H. Stropp of Rome, New York, a member of the 100th Bombardment Group, is in the studio now, and he's going to tell us about the most unusual flight of his career. First of all, Bob, would you mind telling us something about that day's mission?
Well, it started out as a very unfriendly visit to the capital of Germany. The 8th Air Force sent out more than 1,000 fortresses that day, and for 45 minutes we darkened the sky over Berlin, planting about 2,500 tons of high explosives and incendiaries on transportation centers and other military installations.
Well, were the Nazis there to meet you?
You bet they were. They met us with a heavy barrage of anti-aircraft fire, and our plane got plenty of it. After we'd unloaded on the target, one of our engines burst into flames. So Major Rosenthal, our pilot, headed toward the Red Army lines and gave the order to bail out. As I floated down on my parachute, I could see the Oder River directly below me. A strong wind carried me to the bank and I landed. There wasn't a soul around until 3 Russian soldiers came along. They were very excited and all chattered at once, but I soon convinced them that I was an American flyer. The word Amerikansky worked like a charm. You have no idea how popular we are with the Russians. They took me first to a forward command post and immediately trotted out the vodka and meatballs. Boy, what a party. Then when Major Rosenthal and 2 of our gunners showed us up, they gave us another banquet.
Tell me, did you see much American equipment while you were there?
Lots of it, especially in Posen, Poland. There were Sherman tanks, Studebaker trucks, Airacobras, and A-20s. When we asked the Russians how they liked American stuff, they smiled and nodded their heads violently.
Oh, what do you think of Moscow?
It was very cold there, about 25 degrees below zero, but the reception we got was heartwarming. We were entertained by Ambassador Harriman, and we got a roaring series of parties with the Russians. All the way through, we were treated like kings.
Well, that was quite an experience, Bob. Tell us one thing more. Is there any one experience you had during the trip that you'll remember above all the others?
Yes, there is, Lenny. It wasn't the parties. It wasn't the big modern buildings, or even the sight of beautiful women in the trenches. It was a tired, expressionless face I saw in a Russian hospital, and a couple of words softly spoken, and a tone of conviction in the voice that spoke them. I met a nurse who hadn't slept in 4 days. All that time she had been steadily working over wounded soldiers. She kept awake for taking Benzedrine pills. Her eyes were like narrow slits in an ashen face that looked like a carved image. I asked her when she intended to sleep. Her mouth straightened into a thin line and she said, "When Berlin falls. No sleep, no rest till the enemy is crushed." It was like a holy vow. You can't help admiring people like that.
I know what you mean. The spirit that makes a fool out of weariness. That's just one of the reasons why the Allies are winning the war. Thank you very much, Captain Robert H. Stropp of Rome, New York, and the best of luck to you. Ladies and gentlemen, you have just heard an actual combat experience told to you by one of the flying men of the United States 8th Air Force.